We are hot, my friends. That simply means that we are streaming live into Facebook right now from our studio at 4108 South Martin Luther King Drive in the city of Chicago. And hello to our friends in China and on the continent of Africa, in the Middle East, and in the Caribbean. Hello to y'all too. We want you to know that we care about you, and particularly our brothers and sisters down in Puerto Rico, we care about you as well. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about today. And one, of course, on the top of the news, of course, is our own Alderman Willie B. Cochran. He collapsed at City Hall yesterday while one of his colleagues administered CPR. Thank God that one alderman had been trained in how to administer CPR, and that was a great, great thing for our alderman, Willie B. Cochran, alderman of the 20th Ward, and certainly our prayers go out to him for his healing and recovery, and for his family and all that he does. He's a great guy. Of course, he's run into some trouble, but we pray that that trouble will go away. Anyway, this is Leon Finney right now, and we're talking about Alderman Willie B. Cochran of the 20th Ward, the fact that he actually did collapse in City Hall while he was at a hearing dealing with the budget of the city of Chicago. And of course, some thought that he had a stroke, others thought that maybe a heart attack. Nobody knew, and of course, all is well at this particular point. We understand that he regained consciousness, and among a round of applause could be heard from the city. And then he was wheeled to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. And of course, O'Connor, who was the floor leader for the city council, joked that Cochran was kind of embarrassed by all the attention he was getting. But anyway, hey, I've been there, done it, and I just know that we all wish that Alderman Willie B. Cochran would have a speedy recovery, and guess what? That there will be nothing else that will be untoward for him. While we're on the subject of the alderman, let's talk just for a minute about a grilling that took place here in the city of Chicago of the police chief, Ernie Johnson. Alderman Thursday criticized Chicago's top police brass over the department's failure to hire African Americans in proportion to how many take the entrance examinations. During a budget hearing that spanned almost 7 hours, Alderman questioned Superintendent Eddie Johnson and his deputies about the racial breakdown of new hires made in this particular era, given the fact that Mayor Rahm Emanuel is pushing to expand the department to 13,500 officers, an effort that could require more than 2,000 new hires. And you got it. There is a big push to make sure that the racial disparity that now exists in and of the Chicago Police Department is overcome by virtue of having more African Americans interviewed, passed the test, and then hired than their white applicants or applicants that are not black. So there will be a big push to make sure that over 50% of the people who take the exam, pass the exam, and ultimately are hired are African Americans from the city of Chicago. There'll also be a big push, you can watch for it, that will be coming from the Latino American community, because they don't think that they've got their fair share of police officers as well. And of course, we know that the Asians and for sure the Muslims here in the city of Chicago, Muslims and Hindus, they have not gotten their fair share of the positions, law enforcement positions for the city of Chicago. So this is something that I think is doable, and it just simply means that somebody who understands diversity has got to make sure that through this opportunity to hire 2,000 additional police officers, at least 50% of them go to African Americans, and at least maybe 25% go to the white community, and the balance go to blacks. Anyway, that's our take on this. This is another move that we can see for African Americans, and we want to make sure that, as the alderman, hey, this is about being fair. This is Leon Finney. We're going to have to take a short break. Be right back. We're back live, my friends, hot, and we're ready to continue our news broadcast today. Guess what? Or I shouldn't say guess what, but do you know that yoga is a very, very interesting and compelling exercise? That's yoga, Y-O-G-A. Yoga teachers from Kenya visit Inglewood after-school programs. Yoga is a way to promote peace, health, and strength to children in one of Chicago's toughest neighborhoods. That's Inglewood. So says the instructor from Kenya. The after-school program at I Grow Peace House in Inglewood was jammed Thursday. Yogas from Kenya led their charges through the timeless poses that promote health, self-awareness, and strength, just as they do in Nairobi. Victoria Wangar and Margaret Najeri are touring the U.S. as part of the African Yoga Project. And the effort is to bring that ancient practice to struggling communities worldwide. They partner with I Grow, an Inglewood not-for-profit, whose growing Peace House and Garden form an oasis in one of the city's toughest neighborhoods. Quentin Marbles, the co-executive director of I Grow, visited Kenya on a yoga retreat last March, spending a month mesmerized at the practice's power. These lessons are now taking hold in Inglewood. From Chicago, the Yoga Project will move on to Evanston Friday and then eventually south to Nashville. The yogas will have their parts, but they'll highlight the warmth and energy yoga bestows on the people. Yoga, a way towards peace. But hey, I'm for it. Anything that we can do, including yoga, I think we should do it to inculcate the ideas and practices of peace against violence, to prevent violence in our communities on the south and west side. So if it's yoga, it's one thing we can do. Hey, I'm all for yoga. And let's push the yoga classes. My friends, a major thing has happened in the internet community for the news. DNA Info, Chicago shut down. DNA Info, Chicago shut down, according to a letter on its homepage written by CEO Joe Ricketts. A spokesperson said, while DNA Info has made progress towards profitability, that progress hadn't been sufficient to continue the business. This decision by the New York editorial team to unionize is simply another competitive obstacle, making it harder for the business to be financially successful. So said a spokesman for DNA Info. Publication is being suspended immediately, but the business will officially close in 90 days. Maybe there'll be some negotiation about whether or not DNA Info will be closed. Let's hope. We don't wish any business to close in the city of Chicago. Yes, DNA Info is a competitor with UBM, but hey, we compete all the time. And if you cannot survive with your competitors or as you're competing, hey, then perhaps you deserve to be out of business. We're not going to go out of business, and we're not going to celebrate the fact that DNA Info is off the air or not published right now. We're going to say that they're in this business along with us, and we wish them well. And if, however, they do not come alive, then obviously we'll be there to pick up the slack and to make sure for the next 90 days you are served, our listening audience and our viewing audience is served by the urbanbroadcastmedia.com. Look for us on Facebook, look for our Twitter, and look for us on all of the social media platforms. We're here to stay, and we came to make a difference. Now, we're going to have to take another break, and we'll be right back. How many more minutes? Hey, we're back live on urbanbroadcastmedia.com. Check us out on Facebook right now. We're streaming live on Facebook. Check us out with Twitter. We're out there now on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube. We're out there right now streaming. So, my friends, we're here to make sure that you get our news, or the news that you can consume right on the spot. Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson reflects on Mayor Richard Hatcher's legacy. How about that? I know this man, Reverend Richard Hatcher, from way, way back. We're celebrating his 50th year. Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. will join scores of civil rights leaders and elected officials Saturday to celebrate former Gary Mayor Richard Hatcher, an attorney and one of America's first African-American mayors. He was mayor before Harold Washington was. He's credited with energizing the black electorate, which subsequently voted for a number of black elected officials over the 10 years of his service. Gary's Mayor Carrie M. Freeman Wilson and Councilwoman Reagan Hatcher are leading a group to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Mayor Hatcher's historic election. Mayor Freeman credited Hatcher with making international contributions and leadership in the area of civil and human rights. On Saturday, Hatcher will be honored on the 50th anniversary of his election beginning at 6 p.m. at the West Side High School Theater, 900 Gary Street in Gary, Indiana. The theme is A Day to Remember. Jackson is among a number of special guests scheduled to attend this historic event, including Nation of Islam Minister Louis Farrakhan, Mariel, President and CEO of the National Urban League, and singer Dennis Williams, and other celebrities. I can remember when Mayor Richard Hatcher was mayor of the city of Gary, I can remember we had a Black Power conference right there in Gary, Indiana. And we all gathered to say that it was time for black Americans to band together and to empower themselves so that we could advance the interests of our people. It was at that time when Dick Hatcher was the mayor of Gary, Indiana, that we achieved major progress. Right after that, during that era, we were able to see laws passed and laws stricken down, for sure, that prevented black Americans from fully exercising their franchise in the United States of America. And I would say that that movement that was started for political empowerment, that was started with Dick Hatcher, would ultimately see the election of Mayor Washington. It would also ultimately see the major campaign of Jesse Lewis Jackson when he ran for President of the United States of America in 1988. It was called the Jackson 88. And then that set the stage for the election of Carol Moseley Braun, who became the first African-American woman to join the United States Senate. After which, the next major jump, of course, was to see Barack Obama take over Carol Moseley Braun's seat in 2003, and then Barack Obama become the President of the United States of America. And guess what, my friends? It all started for political empowerment with the election of Mayor Richard Hatcher. This is Leon Finney, and you can run and tell.